Good evening, everybody. I hope that everybody who's supposed to be here or wants to be here is here. There is a accident up at the corner of Upper Middle and Trafalgar that has delayed everybody coming north on Trafalgar Road. And so if anybody is missing, I hope they arrive here safely and soon. But we do have all of our committee members here, and we do have several members of our council here, and so we are ready to proceed with the meeting. So I am calling back to order the meeting that we began on Tuesday, November 28th, and we'll be hearing delegations this evening and dealing with the two items that are on the agenda. One is regarding shovel-ready projects for 2018, and the other is the set of delegations. Before I proceed any further, however, I want to make sure that anybody who's here and wishes to provide information to us understands that any member of the public wishing to speak further regarding an issue on the 2018 Budget Committee agenda for today may appear before Council at its meeting on December 18, 2017 at 7 p.m. when the recommendations from this meeting will go forward for final consideration. If you wish to speak as a delegation, please sign the sheet located at the back of the room or notify the Clerk's Department no later than noon the day of the Council meeting. Any PowerPoint presentations must also be forwarded to the Clerk's Department no later than noon the day of the meeting. And members of committee, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest that need to be brought forward? I see none. Very well. We do have two registered delegations, and I will poll the audience afterwards to make sure that if there is anybody else in the audience who wishes to provide information, they have an opportunity to do so. Each delegation has up to 10 minutes, followed by questions from the committee, and I will be starting with Juliana Casimiri from Oakville Green. Welcome, and we do have from you already a distributed piece of information, and we did receive, I think it was approximately 150-page electronic set of materials as well. So thank you and welcome. We look forward to your information.
Great, thank you.
So to go to the next slide, you can just
that one? Yeah, perfect. Okay. Yes, thank you so much. Hello. Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm very happy to be here to tell you about our new backyard tree planting program and to present our request for support for that program. You should have a copy of the written request in front of you. So we know that to reach our canopy cover goals in Oakville residents need to plant trees on private property. Planting on private property also has the added benefit of increasing property values, of conserving energy, and importantly for a municipality to consider, it decreases urban forest maintenance costs on public property. So we're currently 3 months into implementing a 1-year pilot project in Oakville to replicate the LEAF subsidized backyard tree planting program. And the pilot is supported by the Ontario Trillium Foundation until September 1st of 2018. So we're asking for the town's support to be able to extend the backyard tree planting program into the fall of 2018 with a $40,000 investment and providing 40 additional trees planted and also 40 additional new tree stewards caring for those trees. So from that, our recent Growing Livability report, we know that the greatest opportunity for planting is in those residential land classifications. And the backyard tree planting program is intended to support those private property owners to grow our urban forest. LEAF, the acronym is Local Enhancement and Appreciation of Forests, and they're a Toronto NGO. Their program is very intensive because they focus on ensuring that the right trees are planted in the right place with the right care. It includes a yard consultation with an arborist, a 5 to 8 foot native tree, delivery and planting service, and then follow-up visits and tree care information and education for homeowners. And our collaboration with LEAF is trying to optimize local uptake and trying to also increase our local capacity to deliver the program here. So we've had considerable success in its first month of operation. Residents could officially sign up for a tree on October 10th. You can see some of our outcomes here to date, and we expect to meet our target of 40 trees in the spring when people are thinking about planting trees again and working in their gardens, and through our ongoing program promotions. The backyard tree planting program also builds on the other work that Oakville Green continues to do, our urban forest education efforts, including resources like a recent tree care guide that we produced, a Halton native tree list, and our annual tree and shrub sale, and our work to continue to engage volunteers in private tree data collection. So the City of Toronto, Ajax, and York Region are all currently supporting the LEAF program to achieve their canopy cover targets in their municipalities. The LEAF Backyard Tree Program at the moment has a reach of 1,400 trees and shrubs planted in the GTA, and their effectiveness is demonstrated by a 95% survival rate for trees planted in the last 5 years. I'd like to highlight some of the reasons for that success and why we're happy to bring the program here to Oakville and modeling after it. The first is their emphasis on personal relationship building, and they have 5 points of contact with homeowners. They're also optimizing canopy potential by planting. We'll plant a large tree in a backyard if we have the space to do that. So we want to maximize canopy potential when we can. There's also an emphasis on educating homeowners to be the tree stewards. And then, as I mentioned, there's ongoing support for tree care and maintenance. The homeowners' investment in the program ensures that they're committed. And the municipal one-time investment in tree establishment is modest with this model compared to maintenance costs for trees on public property. And the program funding from other sources is able to usually match municipal contributions at a ratio of 2 to 1. So we are looking for support in order to deliver 40 additional trees into the fall of 2018. We'd like to further support citizen tree planting and stewardship by offering Oakville tree tours, an Oakville tree tenders training program, which was just recently offered in Mississauga as well. And the metrics of the program that we're able to provide would be things like the summary of all the trees and shrubs planted by ward. We keep track of participant program satisfaction feedback, and then with follow-ups are tracking the success of those plantings and their survival rates. So we've just gone ahead, we've used the Ontario Residential Tree Benefits Estimator to put some ecosystem service benefits to, values to the 80 trees planted if we were able to continue on with the program and double our impact this year with funding. So thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Are there any questions? Councillor Giddings.
Thanks so much for coming out and for your ongoing efforts. Question regarding the executive summary. Action point number 3, it talks about $40,000 investment which will provide for 40 additional trees.
Right.
And 40 additional tree stewards. So is that $1,000 per 5 to 8 foot tree?
Well, you could do that math and break it down that way. But we're also, I think you want to look at the long-term value of the tree and the tree canopy and what it's offering.
Oh, no, I understand. I'm just curious, that's the per unit cost for the tree?
No, not at all. No. So for a homeowner to sign up for the program, the costs range from $100 with the do-it-yourself option to $220, which would be the highest cost of the tree in the full service. So there's two streams that you can sign up for. One's called Do It Yourself, and it just means that you're doing the planting, and the consultation is happening. Now I have my program coordinator here. Is that right, Mara? The Do It Yourself is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we're doing virtual consultations with the DIY using screen sharing. They're still looking at your yard, and there's still a certified arborist siting that tree and and discussing options with you in terms of species and what you want to see and what your needs are. And that ranges from 100 to 150.
I understand the site visit and talking native species and what would grow best. But for the $40,000, it was 40 trees.
Yes. Yeah, that would be our target. That would be our sort of minimum target, and that's comparable to what other municipalities of our size are getting in terms of uptake.
That was my next question. It talks about support for an effective model, and it mentions Toronto, Ajax, York. Any idea the funding level or the amount of either funding or the number of trees in their program?
That is a good question. No, I don't
Thanks.
have that off the top of my head.
All right, no, I was just curious, and it, the appropriate time, I'll have a question for staff. Thanks.
Are there any other questions? Councillor Elgar?
Thank you for coming. I guess I'd like to know, how did you come up with 40 trees and 40,000? Like, what was used to drive that number? Because you're part of LEAF, I understand, is what you're saying. So is
Yes,
that
so we're partnering with LEAF. And so in the pilot year, the contribution from the Trillium Foundation is $75,000. And that covers our program coordinator costs, and we're essentially contracting out to have LEAF train us to do the program locally.
So what did $75,000 do?
With that $75,000 in this year, we're increasing our capacity to be able to offer the program locally, where Mara's been shadowing the LEAF arborists, and she'll also be training and working towards her arborist certification. And then we're delivering the program in Oakville. We started in October with the first consults, and we'll be doing that into the spring of 2018. And our target with that is 40 trees. So we've planted already 8 in the fall, and we have some signed up. We couldn't keep planting into November because it started to get too cold. And then we'll reach those 40 tree target, and that's our sort of minimum. We hope to be able to do more, and if we can, it's just sort of a logistical. It'll come down to how quickly people sign up and how quickly we can get the locates done and the consults done and get out to the yards and get them planted. So 40 is sort of our target for OTF to we will absolutely reach that target, and we're hoping to do more. But that funding ends September 1st. So if we have more interest, we won't be able to do any plantings into the fall because we don't have the staff.
So I'm just trying to understand. 75,000 got us so far 8 trees? We
have a program that'll continue into the spring, and we'll hopefully plant many more, and 40 is our minimum.
So 40 is the minimum,
Yeah,
and that ends next September.
that's right.
So then you're asking for another 40,000 from September 2018 until into 2019, is that?
Well, we're just keeping sort of with the budget year for now, so we would be able to extend the fall plantings and start September 1st and continue add those 40 trees into the fall.
So the groups that are with LEAF now, would you be able to find out how much money they are spending per tree? Like you mentioned the municipalities that are currently in the program. I'd be interested in what they're spending per tree. Like, see if we can maybe learn to do it. Well, I would hope a little cheaper, but I don't know at this point.
Yeah, do we have a figure for that? I'm not sure that we do. I think that's a.
Could I ask you to come forward as part of the delegation so that
Great idea.
A, everybody in the room can hear you, and B, it also gets caught and everybody at home who might be
Thanks,
watching
sure.
can hear you as well. Thanks so much.
So you can think of it as a per tree cost, but I think what we're trying to get across here is that we're not just asking for the cost for the 40 trees, but we'd also want to include homeowner education in that. So the tree tenders training is a multi-day training program so that people have more information on tree care and how to become better tree stewards for the community. And so that was added into, I think, that number when we calculated it, as well as tree tours, which are kind of getting people thinking about the trees that are already in the community and what can be done to care for those trees. And in other locations such as Toronto, those tree tours and that tree tending has led to other people in the community then going and adopting trees in parks and in streets to ensure that they're cared for and that they continue to contribute to the canopy. So to say that it's $1,000 a tree doesn't really, I don't think, capture the other things that we want to achieve other than just the tree planting.
Got it. So a lot administrative costs plus the actual tree. So the tree cost is how much for a 5 to 8 foot tree? What is the cost of a tree?
For the homeowner, it's for the full service, $150 to $220, but that would include the consultation and the planting and everything as well.
So I'm missing something. So when you say the cost to the resident is 150 to 200, so what do we have to pay for the tree? What do you have to pay for the actual tree? Or do you know?
Leaf does the ordering. I don't have the numbers on hand, but I'm sure that we could get them.
Okay, well, okay, I appreciate that. Thanks very much.
Councillor Grant?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess it's easy for us to say $1,000 per tree for 40 trees just because we don't really have anything else to look at. And so would it be possible for you to at least come back with something that gives us a better financial breakdown of what we're to expect? I mean, certainly the price per tree and then how much the administrative costs would be. You mentioned metrics reporting. We do have something called iTree. I'm not quite sure how that's different from what we offer, but nevertheless, it might be of benefit to you and to us for understanding if we had a better financial breakdown as to what we would be getting for the $40,000, if not 40 trees, and then whatever else.
Yeah, this is all uncharted territory for us, so we're happy to, provide any additional information or figure out how to do that. We've always worked wonderfully with the town parks and open space department, but have never received direct financial support for any of the work that we do. But we do have commitments and reporting metrics that we have to provide to our other grantors. So whatever those requirements are for the town, we'd be happy to reply with those.
Thank you, and certainly any other information you have to date would be great. I've been trying to help promote on my Facebook page the plant program.
Thank you.
And the LEAF program, so certainly anything you can do, great. Thank you.
Mayor Burton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for bringing the presentation. I was very happy for you when the announcement of the LEAF program was made, and I understand the program to be predominantly, I'll call it a social program or a social campaign to encourage people to plant trees privately. And there's in my mind, and I think in the program's view, an exemplary value to the program. That it's not just a per tree thing, as you were trying to point out. And I appreciate that you had a great start. And as I understand it, what you're asking us to do is to continue it for another year after the original year. And if we consider that the Trillium program was a start-off request or a start-off grant for $75,000 for 40 trees plus the social awareness part of it, $40,000 to continue the program. It seems like you're improving your efficiency. So we have a request into our staff to evaluate what our options are to make sure that we are making all the possible progress forward towards our 40% tree canopy goal. And as I mentioned in the State of the Town, essentially we're going to have to do 25,000 trees a year to, as a seat of the pants estimate. And we recently had a report showing that we actually are, for the last year, slightly above that, so we're making good progress. I'm sure that together we can continue to find ways to reach our goal. And I really thank you for bringing this effort forward. And I congratulate you on the Trillium grant again. So thanks very much for being here.
Thank you.
Councillor Lischina, did your question get answered? I wasn't quite sure whether you were done or not.
Partially.
Partially. Okay, well, the floor is yours.
Maybe you could clarify for me. So if someone wants to plant a tree in their backyard, going through the LEAF program, and if they wanted sort of the whole package, it would be around $200. If they didn't go through a LEAF program, would you know the costs of that for a private resident to do that?
Take that one, yeah.
Yeah, I've done some research on the local nurseries around here and what they charge for planting, what they charge for delivery, and that kind of thing. The minimum that I've found was about $350, and it really ranges up to, I found even estimates up to $600, depending on the tree species, and some nurseries charge over $100 just for delivery and that kind of thing. So from what I can see, it is a better deal for homeowners compared to going
And so if
privately.
a resident wanted to get in touch with you directly, how would they do that?
So LEAF has an office number. I have my own number as well. And then they actually sign up online. So it's the LEAF website, yourleaf.org.
Sorry, yourleaf.org?
.org, yes.
Thank you.
And so they go onto the website and you can fill out a questionnaire right there, and then LEAF contacts the homeowner directly.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much for the information. As the mayor said, the committee has already asked our staff to report back for next December 12th for our next meeting on this particular topic, and I suspect our staff will be interested in seeing some additional information from you as well. Okay? Thanks very much. And I think there was a question of our staff on this particular item. Councillor Giddings, did you want to ask something specific, or?
Thanks. I'm fine for now. We can wait till December 12th.
Very good. And I presume that our staff have picked up on the issue of the per tree cost for planting as being an issue that the committee would like to have explored, I'll say. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go to our next delegation, Christopher Invidiata. Welcome. We look forward to your information. You have up to 10 minutes.
First of all, I want to thank the mayor and the council for short notice for getting us on the agenda, and special thanks to Dave Giddings and Kathy Derrick for helping along with that. I brought a booklet which I had delivered to each member. Hopefully you've seen it. If you haven't, I have one here if you'd like to see it. I sold the property to Mr. Powell, year 2000, and it was an extraordinary event to have a gentleman wanting to build a home of this scale in Oakville, and it was like fairy tale. So it was like, wow. He had a vision of building a home that replicated a home they saw in England. So he did. And then he came to me about 3 years ago and he said, my runway in life is narrowing and I'd like to end my life building my next home on my homestead property in Mississauga. And I said, wow, that's really nice. So he said, I'm going to commission you to sell the property. So I took a year to find the selected families that I thought would have the wherewithal and the heart of extending this property to the generations of their families. So the Thompsons, the Weston families, all the big families. We had 4 showings. We had very close interest, but no cigars, they say in my world. So we had Plan B, which was then to open it up to the open market. So we had brokers out, we had agents out. As soon as the Chinese market heard about it, we had unsolicited offers from overseas right away, no problem. It was like, wow, who are you, what's happening? So after that, we had local Chinese interest in the property, and of course, we all know what happened in China. The government has made further restrictions on their currency so they cannot get money out of the country. Even if you're a billionaire, it doesn't happen. So we had actually offers on the table with that. So I was discouraged by the realities, and then we said phase 3 of our campaign would involve alternative uses for the property. So could it be a school? Could it be a boutique hotel? Could it be a private members club? Could it be a community center? All these different ideas were tumbling through our minds. And so what happened was we started to get some traction from people like the Granite Club in Toronto, Appleby College, the West Windsor Arms Hotel, like real serious interests that were like starting to take tactile interest. And I thought, what if we turn this over to the town and make it a town's initiative and give the town an opportunity to acquire it, and if needs be, finance it through a unique model, financial model, where the members of the community would have an equity position in the property. That being said, I thought I'll present it and see what the interest would be, and certainly if the interest in the property is enough to see it, then I would encourage a visit to the property to actually see it and feel it, because the property is extraordinary. And the building is 40,000 square feet, which today costs $31 million to build, and the land alone is appraised at $45 million. So it has a real strong value, let's say, in the open market, but it will take a special use to make it work for the community. So I wanted to just read off, if I might, the points that I feel would be beneficial for consideration. Number one, it's the most coveted waterfront location in southeast Oakville, probably in Canada. It has been recognized as the Gold Coast, which it is, but at the same time, Chelsea Hall has been recognized as one of the leading estates in Canada. We've had an independent appraisal done by a company called Altus Group, who runs Terranet, a public company, and they valued it at $59 million. It's 10 acres of land. It was acquired for $10 million in the year 2000. 17 years later, the value of the land is $45 million. That's a 20% increase per year, so its future value in the next 10 years could be $120 million, just the land alone. This asset is in alignment with the town's development strategies, we believe, because it's an asset that's sitting within a core area of the old part of town. We believe that timing is now. As Chelsea Hall could be sold to another use, this vision, this idea will be gone. So everything in life is timing, and so the timing is critical. We do have interest in the property from other sources right now, but this timing is always important. As I mentioned earlier, the dwelling is 40,000 square feet, and we've depreciated its value down to $15 million. But the replacement cost is valued at $31 million. If this were to happen, this would free up lands for development of the Performing Arts Center and the library, possibly, as relocation of these two facilities. And I happened to bump into Ken Koller for the Performing Arts Center and just lightly mentioned the idea, and he said, wow, I think it'd be a brilliant idea to have that Performing Arts Center there at Chelsea Hall and maybe do an underground theater, and he could start to see it. It was like, wow, I like the idea. The Oakville Art Gallery, of course, is looking for a home, and it would be a beautiful centerpiece for the gallery to have a predominant building like that to showcase the artwork. And I think the combination of a cultural and heritage center would be the right gift to the town to use, so that it would include the residents of the community to come and see and learn about the history of Oakville. So it could be a very strong driver for economics. And we have a handout. I sorry if we can leave that with you, if you don't mind. Is it okay if we hand that out? And
We'll come and collect it.
Sorry. So those are the benefits that I think would be important to consider, and we can encourage you a visit to see the property. Mr. Powell leaves on the 14th of December, so if it could be before that, that would be great.
Councillor Elgar, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you very much for coming and presenting tonight.
Thank you.
I guess I have a question regarding the financials, and I noticed in your booklet you mentioned 60 million would give us 600 million. I'm just trying to understand the financials here of how that would work.
Okay, so the idea was birthed out of all the talk around equity memberships with these other clubs, and you could charge 50,000 and so forth. And I thought, if a center like this, a distinguished center, were to open, the value of an equity membership would be closer to 10. And so if we were trying to bring awareness to all of the Oakville residents, let's say there's 60,000 homes in Oakville, and you were to say to them that every homeowner has an option to acquire their membership that's worth 10,000 for $1,000, then those dollars generated would be, if everybody bought in, would be 600 million. So the revenue comes from the residents.
I'm not that quick with math as you are, obviously.
Okay.
So you're saying everybody gives 10,000?
No,
Oh.
the value of the equity memberships for the center would be 10,000, the value, the market value.
Market value is 10
Right. So
per person,
per
per
membership.
family, per household, I guess
Yeah.
you're saying.
So on your household,
Yeah,
you have a notice given to you that's an option for you to acquire your share in Chelsea Hall for $1,000. The value's worth 10. You with me?
well, I can do multiplication. I'm just not seeing the 600. I'm trying to figure out where I invest 60 million and I'm going to get 600 million out of it.
So
Or how many years is it going to take me to get the 600 million?
depends how fast the residents want it.
And the
'Cause if
revenue
you-
is coming from
The residents of Oakville.
from the residents?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
I
you
get
have
that.
an option to acquire your share in Chelsea Hall, which is valued at 10. Your option is at 1,000. And if you choose to exercise your option, it goes onto your title. And when you sell your property in the future, you have a membership, an equity membership in Chelsea Hall.
I see.
So it would add value to the sale process of your home.
Okay, okay. I thank you.
Yeah,
Any others? Thank you very much for your information.
no problem. Okay. Any other questions? No?
Members of the committee, I'm going to poll the audience to ensure there's nobody else here this evening with information for us. Is there any member of the public here who wish to provide information to the Budget Committee regarding the 2018 budget? All right, I see none. Going once, going twice. Sold. All right, we are done with the delegations, members of the committee. We have two items before us. One is the 2018 shovel-ready project list, which is the consent item. Mayor Burton, are you moving receipt of it? Thank you very much. And Councillor Elgar?
Do you, Councillor Adams, could I ask a couple of more things for the budget, to come back to the Budget Committee?
Yes, of course.
One would be if the staff could consider additional radar speed signs, what the cost is per unit and how many we could probably do. They seem to be working, and as soon as we take them away from an area, people are emailing and asking, when is it coming back? And I find that interesting, and I also find it encouraging that, in fact, they must make a difference, and that's good. Exactly, you can't take it away. But I'm just wondering if there's something, if staff could go back with that, and what would be reasonable. Also, library detail costs for the Glen Abbey, what's proposed for that in more detail of what the money's going to be spent for, if we could have that. The one other thing, and I know staff have looked at it, but I've just wondered, it's to do with the street lighting at one location, and it's Ashmore and West Oak Trails. There is, I would agree now with the residents, there is something wrong at that one particular location. You can drive along all along West Oak, and you can see light shining down. But at that one location, whatever, even if they tilt the angle to help out, it is absolutely black dark and right in the one area where the people cross the road. So if they just take another look at that, I'd appreciate it. Because I know that we do have a report back that they're going to look at it next year in 6 months' time. But the residents are concerned, and I've driven it. I drove it 3 times trying to understand what we could do different. You know, perhaps there is some simple solution.
Councillor, I just want to make sure we got the, you're talking about the intersection of Ashmore and West Oak Trails, is that what you
Yes,
said?
yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. Even on the way home tonight, it'd be good. Thanks. No. Just drive by.
Members of committee, can you help me out for just a minute? We have a motion to receive the shovel-ready list. Can we vote on that, and then we'll add this in, Councillor Elgar? All those in favor of the first item? Very good, thank you. That's carried. So the second item regarding the public delegations This is so, dealing with item number 2, maybe Councillor Elgar, you could help me with this one, that the presentations from the delegations regarding the 2018 operating and capital budgets be received, and further that staff report on options to provide additional radar speed display signs, 2, detailed costs for the Glen Abbey Library renovation, is that correct? And the third one was additional lighting at Ashmore and West Oak Trails, is that correct? Okay. On that particular one, I have another corner that has long needed additional lighting, and that's the corner of Grand and Grosvenor on the south side of that. There's a library, sorry, not a library, there's a post box at that corner that has long been an issue. And while we're looking at lighting, I'd like us to take a look at that corner as well. Okay? Councillor? So, Councillor, you're satisfied with that. Are there any other requests for information? We're about to, I think we're about to get some feedback on this issue. You're on.
Through you, Mr. Chair. The street lighting program, there is an existing capital program for that, which does include infill dollars. So we could take a look at the locations that have been identified, and if warranted, we would do it under the existing program. So we wouldn't be asking for additional funding with respect to that. So I just wanted to present that.
I'm satisfied with that. Yeah. Thank you very much. All right, so we've noted those 2 locations. Councillor Elgar, are you satisfied if we drop that from the motion? Okay. Very good. Then we've got the 2 additional requests, and all those in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much, everybody. That deals with the information before us and the material before us. I just wanted to bring forward the next open house that we'll be running will be Tuesday, December 5th at Iroquois Ridge Library from 7 till 8. I look forward to speaking with anybody who has further questions or wants to get some information about the budget or has some feedback for us. The committee will be coming back December 12th to go through its deliberations, and we'll be receiving information that we've asked for from our staff in advance of that. Thank you very much, everybody, and we are now adjourned.